Would you look at that? Another contender emerges. A new phone from Redmagic, and I got good news. Actually going to be giving this one away. So make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment down below with your Twitter handle for your chance to win this actual unit. This is the Redmagic 6 Racing, and I think you're going to be interested in it because it's packing a Snapdragon 888 in it. And I'm told the starting price is going to be $499, which maybe we're having a little moment here where the value for money, the flagship killer conversation has been revitalized because you're having flagship chips inside of lower priced smartphones. So that's kind of cool. Now this one is also a gaming smartphone, so it's also got a 144 hertz display, 6.67 inch AMOLED, and it has those shoulder trigger buttons, which of course I'll showcase later in this video. It's very helpful and a lot more comfortable, especially if your hands get cramped up or if you have large hands or whatever and you don't want to be, I mean, it can get uncomfortable on the smartphone trying to get all your buttons in there, the shoulder buttons. I mean, I played with this in the past. It's a big difference. So for some reason, this one is called the Redmagic 6 Racing. I presume that there's a couple of different versions of it. Other features listed on the box: 30-watt fast charging. And the model I have appears to be silver with 12 gigs of RAM and 256 storage. So that's pretty impressive as well. I don't have a knife. He might be all the way at the back there. It'll do. All right, see? So as usual, we have the very gamer graphic on the front, cyborg-ish. They've had this red theme for a while, Redmagic. All right, first things first, a little bit of paperwork and probably, yes, a case to get you started. This is pretty simple stuff. It's one of these clear style cases, but it's nice to have. Little extra. SIM card tool is in there as well. Here is the device. And as I said, this is the silver model. I actually kind of like the shape of the camera cutout. That's quite a few camera units as well. Test those out in a moment. This is the silver finish. Oh, wow. And it's got a number of tones to it. So it's kind of got a transformer thing going on with this variety of shapes and patterns and the way that those reflect. Redmagic in the center, darker mirrored portion up near the camera, and 64 megapixel AI quad camera is what they say there. Ooh, looking around the device, what do we have here? All right, so on this side, this is the fun side because you have your shoulder buttons. These are capacitive touch buttons, but there's this little ridge on the edge, so you can kind of rest your finger off the trigger as well and then kind of come down like bang, like this. These are very effective. You can map them in a number of games. They work really well for shooter games, racing games, things like this. Your power switch is in this location. Volume rocker is above there. On the bottom, you have your speaker, USB Type-C connector. There's your SIM tray. It has this kind of nice concave to it around the edges. And I'm noticing right away as well that they've gone for a symmetrical front-facing camera. So the selfie cam is in the center. It's not off to the side. Also in the package, you're going to find a power brick. And as mentioned, it is a 30-watt capable power brick. As far as fast charging goes, glossy black finish to it. Actually looks a little more premium than you might be used to. And then the red and black charge cable as well. So this is USB-C to USB-A. They've also included a little adapter for a wired headset, so no headphone jack on the device, but they do give you Type-C to headphone, which is important for gaming phones. Many want the lowest latency possible for their audio, and a wired headset gives you that. It's interesting, the front-facing camera has a tiny metallic ring around it, which you don't always see. All right, so let's take a closer look at this display here. 6.67 inches FHD plus. Yes, it is OLED, and yes, it is a 144 hertz refresh rate, which is what you will be looking for in any top tier smartphone, never mind a gaming smartphone, where you really want to see those fast refresh rates. Now, you don't have to run it at 144, as I'll show you in a minute here, but this just gives you a nice idea. Look at this shot, by the way. How about this shot? give Mo a thumbs up for that or something. Like, did you see the way we moved into the display and then out of it, and it was the triangles and whatnot? Anyways, yes, refresh rate from 60 hertz all the way up to 144. Obviously, when you're in 144, you're going to be consuming a little bit more battery. So I like the flexibility here and more options to select from: 60, 90, 120, and 144, whichever is optimal for your circumstance. Like, what you can do is have the game mode just trigger the 144 if that's easier for you, and then leave it in a slower refresh if you want to prioritize battery life when you're not gaming. But I like a fast refresh everywhere. Now, as far as unlocking it, yes, you have an in-display fingerprint scanner, as you can see here, and a number of animations to choose from, so you get the right unlock to your taste. This one is like a kind of explosion of sorts, like a solar explosion. The power brick, as mentioned, 30 watt capable and a fast recharge. And you know, I gotta show off the animation here. You can see this tiny little, this glowing green orb that travels up. And yeah, it's fast recharge, so you can watch it go up in almost real time. There's some other slight tweaks to the device, gaming centric tweaks around how the software looks, and just some visual, like appearance based things. But otherwise, I mean, you're running Android underneath it all. You can change things about the way the always on display looks and so forth. Plus, I should probably mention at this point, you're dealing with some pretty early software here on the model that I'm using, but end of the day, you're dealing with a Snapdragon 888. You're dealing with either 8 or 12 gigs of RAM, 128 or 256 of storage, and the battery, I should mention as well, 4200 milliamp hour.
Emacs on the track.
So we have so many phones competing for that champion status at the moment, and Redmagic is coming in with an impressive spec sheet itself.
Now, the big difference here, as far as this being a gaming phone, is the extra input method. Now, you have these capacitive triggers, which shoulder buttons, I guess, which I'll show off later in the video. I will be doing some gaming, so no worries on that. But otherwise, you're dealing with a pretty typical smartphone layout, and it doesn't feel all that different from any other smartphone, which is good, because when it's in your pocket and you're using it just as a phone and not for gaming, you don't necessarily need to be reminded that it is a gaming exclusive phone. Granted, if you want to take it even further in the gaming direction, there's even a bunch of accessories and things that you can add to it, which I'll show some of those off also as the video progresses. Now, you do have a number of camera modules on here. You probably saw that quad camera setup on the back, and you're going to see a few samples here at different zoom ranges and a couple of kind of unusual features, software features that are built in here as well. They're kind of like effects, but there's also some slow motion with some crazy frame rates if you're willing to drop resolution. Probably the usable one here is 240 FPS. There is a night mode also baked in there, as you can see, able to turn complete darkness into something that's somewhat usable. And then full manual controls as well. If you're the type that likes to dive in and just get really granular with your settings, you can do that too. Now, as far as like fun features that are in the camera app, you can see this magnifier is pretty cool. So it sort of moves the macro focus point around the texture. Now, you've also got this diffusion effect, which kind of has a dreamy look to it. This one is called overlying. It's like a big version of what you're looking at in a small one, which is overlaid on top. Of course, we had to do the beard hair test on a selfie camera as well. And here's that slow motion example that I was talking about. So 240 FPS is the most useful. So here's the usual lighter effect in slow-mo at 240. Now, as far as regular video without the slow-mo, you can shoot up to 4K, Ultra HD 4K, and 4K at 60 FPS is even in there as well. Oh, there you go, Ultra HD 8K, recommended for outdoor use. Yeah, I mean, you have the Snapdragon 888 in here. Most likely, people are going to be using 4K up to 60 FPS. So you can see it's actually fairly smooth chasing Casper around over here. So, I mean, if you need to save file size, you can go lower resolution or a lower frame rate, but it can do 4K 60. As mentioned, you can accessorize this device with a number of attachments, including a cooler unit and external controls, but you might not even need them because this does have those capacitive shoulder buttons on there already, so you might not even need an external joystick. But if you game a lot on your smartphone, then those attachments can take things to another level. I've tried them in the past, and it can make things a lot more comfy for extended gaming sessions.
Tango down. Reloading. Headshot. Grenade. Recon standing by. UAV recon is standing by. On standby. Be advised. Hostile hunter-killer drone inbound.
I don't know, but I spent a lot of this round setting things up, so. Oh, they have a shield after they spawn, right?
Yeah.
I had the setup wrong. I had there's these two separate, there's down the sights, one click down the sights, and then there's also down the sights without shooting, and then blind fire button, and they're all separate buttons, so I just had to set up the right.
Advantage.
Oh, flamethrower, cool. Brutal.
team. Enemy UAV spotted. Hostile hunter-killer drone inbound. Tango down! Reaching lag. Dog is reloading. For deployment. Reaching lag. Time for the lead.
Oh, 50-49. That was a tighter match than before, man. Whoa. So I had to get all the kills as well, by the looks of it. Oh, there we go. 37.